Fun fact, at the time of its original release in 2003, Yi 6, The Ark of Napishtim, was the first new game in the series had seen in 8 years. The game originally released in Japan for the PC and introduced a bold new gameplay direction for the series, with 3D visuals. Most Western players may see the similarities between the PC version of Yi 6 and Yi's The Oath and Felghana, as they shared the same engine and gameplay mechanics, which The Ark of Napishtim introduced. Yi 6 first released in the West as a PlayStation 2 port on February 22, 2005, published by Konami. This port featured the same core quest as the original PC version, but primarily differed in that it used fully 3D models rather than the pre-rendered 3D sprites used in the PC version. The PS2 port also added some optional areas called Alma's Trials, as well as including both English and Japanese voiceover. Konami even went as far as to include a new opening FMV, which looks completely horrendous and awful in general. Seriously, the original opening completely destroys this. Yi 6 also saw a port on the PSP almost exactly a year after the PlayStation 2 version. This particular port is largely the same as the PC version, but is notable for suffering from some very long load times and looks and runs much worse. As such, it is often regarded as the worst version of the game. And that brings us to now, with the worldwide release of the PC version of Yi 6, The Ark of Napishtim, brought to us by the good folk over at Xseed and available digitally through Good Old Games and Steam. This release intends to serve as the definitive version of the game. While largely similar to the 2003 original, this revamped release includes more difficulty options as well as some new modes, most notable of which is the new Catastrophe Mode. This mode removes the ability to stock up on healing items, making healing items only really usable outside of boss fights, and much like the Oath and Felghana and Yi's origin. This port also includes the expected bells and whistles of any Steam release, with achievements and leaderboards. Yi 6, The Ark of Napishtim takes place shortly after the events of Yi's 5, which sadly has yet to see a Western release in any form, but this won't impact anyone's understanding or enjoyment of this game's story. Series' red-headed hero Adol Christian finds himself stranded on a series of islands after attempting to travel through a fierce storm on a pirate ship. Adol is rescued and nurtured back to health by the pair of sisters, Isha and Olha. The two belong to a race similar to humans but with ears and tails called the Redha, native to the islands. As per series formula, it doesn't take long for Adol to be involved in the issues the people here face, and in no time at all he is back to adventuring, wooing the ladies, and kicking ass. While this may be the 6th game in the series, the story is self-contained, but it does include some references and nods to previous games, which is usually achieved through characters from previous Ys games making an appearance. As such, newcomers need not worry that they may be confused or lost without playing prior games. The overall story, while nothing special in and of itself, is well told and engaging enough to see you through to the end of its 8 to 10 hour runtime. The writing and localization help carry what many would consider a fairly straightforward and typical RPG plot. But at the end of the day, I imagine very few people play the Ys games for their stories. No, we come for the fast-paced and frantic gameplay and stay for the always incredible music. Being the first in the PC trilogy of Ys, which includes this game, The Oath and Felghana, and Yi's Origin, the Ark of Napishtim plays very similarly to its successors, with a few notable differences, most of which is the sword system. Here, Adol's only weapons are 3 different swords, each corresponding to the elements of wind, fire, and lightning. Each sword has a distinctive attack set, with the wind sword chaining quick attacks into a tornado finisher, the fire sword having slower, stronger strikes that can be charged to leave a trail of fire, or the lightning sword using thrust attacks that lead into an electrical charge attack. Each weapon also has a magic ability associated with it, which can be used once the magic meter is filled. This gauge will refill as you hit enemies and gradually on its own. I found myself switching between the different swords to best deal with certain enemy types or to figure out which sword was optimal for which boss, and overall I enjoyed the system as it brought some variety to the gameplay. Like the other Ys games, Adol would be fighting through scores of different monsters as he traverses fields, mountains, and dungeons until fighting a boss to progress the story. The game sticks to this formula with little deviation, but there are a few side quests to complete which can net some useful items and equipment. As well, there are also some optional boss encounters. Since there are only the 3 swords as weapons, players will have to periodically upgrade them at the sword shack, which is what I have come to call the place where you improve your weapons, as you'll need to upgrade them in order to deal with the increasingly powerful enemies in each new area. Upgrading each sword is fairly straightforward as it only requires paying a fee to improve their magical and damage capabilities, but each sword upgrade level requires an increasing amount of Emil, which is an ore dropped by enemies, and in order to finish the game, you will need a ton of this stuff. This results in my primary issue with the gameplay, that there are several instances in which you're pretty much required to power level and grind for a meal, as it is possible if you have neglected to upgrade your swords that you can walk into a new area and be unable to damage enemies at all. This is especially bad near the end of the game, in which upgrading your swords to their final levels costs a considerable amount of it. I don't necessarily hate grinding, but in this instance it just brings the fast flow of the game to a grinding halt, and it kind of feels like padding. I also found that the game could be unclear at times where to go next to progress the story. Luckily, this version of the game has an item which allows you to fast travel, which can help alleviate this issue as you won't have to waste time wandering around on foot as much. Overall, I still enjoyed playing the game. The sword system, despite the required grinding for upgrades, is an interesting addition that adds a needed variety to the fighting regular enemies and bosses. As per usual with the series, the boss fights are fun tests of skill and pattern recognition, of which these games are well known for. The visuals don't do much to hide the fact that this is a game from 2003. While the character sprites look okay for the most part, and the character portraits are all very well drawn, the environments have not held up quite as well and look quite dated. This port does support a variety of different monitor resolutions and can even run in 4K. Although, I did notice a few instances in which I could see the black edge of the game screen, but this only happened less than a handful of times and by no means impeded my enjoyment of the game. While the visuals may have not necessarily aged all that well, the game's soundtrack sounds as good as ever. The Ys games and the Falcom sound team have always been known for their incredible work, and the Ark of Napishtim is no exception. In fact, I would go as far as to say that this game has one of the best soundtracks in the series, with many tracks combining wind-based instruments with crazy guitar strings, and it just sounds awesome. I still have the opening theme stuck in my head as we speak. So, at the end of the day, this port will appeal most to two different groups of people: newcomers to the series and fans of the Ys games that have yet to play the 6th entry. But with that said, if you are new to the series, I think there are better places to start. At the same price point, I would recommend Ys the Oath and Felghana and Ys Origin over the Ark of Napishtim. They both have much more to offer in terms of game content and overall gameplay refinements, but that isn't to say that the Ark of Napishtim is a bad game or one that isn't worth your time. While the grinding can be tedious at times and the game is fairly short, there's plenty of reasons to replay it, such as the different difficulty options or playing on Catastrophe Mode. This game was a revolutionary entry in the series when it came out in 2003 and paved the way for better games to come, but it's still worth experiencing and one that may show its age here and there, but it remains a blast to play to this day. And at the very least, you could just listen to the music for a couple hours. I know I did. That's it for now. If you are interested in seeing more reviews, playthroughs, and other RPG related videos, be sure to subscribe by clicking the button below. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, Darren here. Hope you liked the video. It was a review that I was working on in the background prior to the last video. So, Suikoden 2 is on the way. It will be the next video on this channel. Review is near complete. But before I get into all that, I also have an announcement. My buddy Kevin over on his channel, Humala, is working on a series of fighting game videos called Salty Bout, in which I'll be featured on them, and together we play a variety of different fighting games to see who can get the first to 7 victories. And the loser has to eat a habanero pepper. Both Kevin and I are very, very bad with spicy food, so it'll be probably a hilarious video to whoever loses and has to eat it. Anyway, so if you want to check out any of those videos, here's a link right here in the video. Just click on it, it'll take you there. There'll be a little demo reel at the very end showing off the first episode of Salty Bout, so if you have any interest in that, give Kevin's videos a like, or maybe even subscribe to him if you want to see more of me on that channel. I'll also be featured on his channel in a upcoming Demon Souls playthrough, so if you're interested in seeing that, be sure to stay tuned for that. Anyway, hope you guys liked all of the things I had to show you, and I'll be back with Suikoden 2 next time. So, see you then.
Oh my
Wow,
god,
well,
damn it!
Goodbye, Jen. I thought I had that.
I thought you had it too.
God, I hate blocking this game so much.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Just do normals. Oh, that was almost the perfect.
Tekken's like half normal. That's half the game.
I don't know anything about Brian. I'm literally just hitting
Mashing
buttons. It's working.
Don't call it hitting buttons. That's a polite way of saying, why is that blocking? What the fuck? Fuck Tekken forever. This game's garbage. Fuck my life.
And everything just fell to shit for Darren.
Yup. Look at that. Half my health. 2 hits.
Oh shit, my health. What the fuck, man?
Yeah! Hey, Hachi's got the kick too!
Please peek the my card.
Machima family, power for the win.
Yes! Come on, please, do something, game. Oh my god, please, game, no!
Panic harder. Yes! What the shit?
We're staying alive! We're staying alive!
What? That didn't have my health!
Yoshimitsu, please!
This is the most horseshit win ever.
Come on, please, Yoshimitsu. No! No!
Yes! Fuck me!